so well. We weren't earning enough money. So I started using gaming as a sort of coping mechanism to deal with, let's say, the failure, also while my business was still running. And obviously my focus sort of diminished on the business as gaming seemed more interesting and there were more rewards there. Then my life turned around completely after I stopped gaming. And since then, I joined the graduate program for 2 years, and I was working for one of the biggest energy companies there. Then I was in Copenhagen for another year, working for an aviation company. And then I got yet another job in working with wind turbines. And I don't think any of that would have been possible if I would have still been like hooked on games and not controlling my gaming addiction.
When you're gaming, you're consuming entertainment. You're consuming social media, you're consuming YouTube, you're just consuming. You're a passive object in your life, and the world is meant to entertain you. This is how you're functioning. If you have a mindset of being a creator, not a content creator, but a creator of your life, not only will that lead you to, for instance, starting a business or just entering an industry that you're really passionate about and saving money and being able to travel through that means, but also creating the type of, I guess, in some ways, spiritual experience of life that you want to have, which starts with the gratitude and starts with the appreciation and embracing what you have available in your environment, wherever that is.
And I think it's worth it. Yeah, you have to think a bit more long term. Yeah, you have to be disciplined to some extent, but you have to find that thing for you personally that's motivating enough to get yourself out of the gaming chair and just do something that's worth it for you.
Well, Leo, welcome to Game Quitters.
Thank you so much, Cam. It's a pleasure to meet you in person finally after so many years of being a part of the community.
And so you live in Denmark, but you're from Romania.
That's right. So I moved there about 10 years ago to study, and now I work there and I live there permanently.
And how did you get introduced to Game Quitters? Like, when did you first find this? What year was that, do you think?
I remember quite specifically. The year was 2019. It was about 2 years after I finished my studies and I started my own company. And the company did well for a while, but then competition was very fierce and was like they were cutting us on prices and aggressive marketing. So then the business wasn't doing so well. We weren't earning enough money. In fact, we lost a bunch of money. So I started using gaming as a sort of coping mechanism to deal with, let's say, the failure, which should have just been like a lesson, right? So I was using gaming also while my business was still running. And obviously my focus sort of diminished on the business as gaming seemed more interesting and there were more rewards there. Towards the end of 2019, I had enough of that and I started searching online for resources, and luckily I stumbled upon Game Quitters and read a bunch of articles. I think you even had some podcasts at the time. So I was like, okay, this is actually a big source of my problem, that I'm letting gaming sort of control me in a way. I'm using it as a pacifier instead of dealing with the business. If it's not working, pull out the plug, and if it's working somehow, try to improve. So I quit games. I tried the 90-day detox, and then I just kept going actually after that. And yeah, it was really a big help, because then my life turned around completely after I stopped gaming. So what it's been since then? It's been like 3.5, 4 years almost. And since then I joined the graduate program for 2 years, where I went to England for 1 year and I was working for one of the biggest energy companies there. Then I was in Copenhagen for another year, working for an aviation company, also very interesting. And then I got yet another job in working with wind turbines, which is sort of the thing that I enjoy working the most with, and I've worked in the past with. And I don't think any of that would have been possible if I would have still been like hooked on games and not controlling my gaming addiction. And that started in early childhood, and I didn't even realize how destructive it was. It was just like a coping mechanism. But then, thanks to your resources and thanks to your you have this newsletter, and I mean, sometimes it was like magic. You were sending them, and I was like, I'm craving to play so much right now. And then I would receive a newsletter, and I was like, oh, here's the benefits of not gaming, and here's this story, and it helped me stay consistent, right? So huge thank you for that. Thank you for all the resources.
And when you were playing, what games were you playing?
I was playing mostly RPGs, like story-based RPGs, the ones where you would essentially simulate real life. You could buy properties or go on missions, meet women, whatever. So games like Witcher, some game called Gothic, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Some sort of games that were. I also play shooters. When I was having my business, I was so hooked on Overwatch and just climbing that ladder and then grinding. And one thing that made me laugh at myself was that before I used to laugh at people who played Counter-Strike all the time because I found it boring. I thought it's the same map for 10 years now, and you're still playing on the same map, and it's, to me it seemed boring. And then I realized, wait a second, Overwatch is just like Counter-Strike. You just have some characters, you just have some more combos, but essentially you're playing the same match, the same maps, hundreds of times in a row, just trying to get better and trying to climb this ladder. And I just realized that wasn't for me. It might be for some other people, but I realized I was essentially wasting my time in that instead of being more involved in my business, in my relationship at the time with my friends and family, or working out. That was actually also one of the times I was the heaviest in my time. I was 80 something kilos, maybe 87 or something, and then you could see it on me. And so I was down prioritizing everything to game and to pacify this, let's say, child inside of me that was hurt because the company didn't go as I planned and as I thought, and then that my dreams were not deploying as I hoped that they would. And of course that's a tough reality to deal with, but just pacifying yourself with gaming, I don't think personally is the way to do it. You can talk to friends about it, you can write in a journal what your experience was, what you learned from it. You can exercise and stuff like that to try to sort of get over it and let some time pass. But what you're doing with gaming is I don't want to accept this reality. Mm-hmm. And what we know from psychology, at least that's what I read, is one of the worst things to do with trauma and with things like this is to try to deny or neglect it and cover it and hopes it goes away. No, instead, you have to accept what happened, see if you can learn something from it. If you want to do it in the future again, do it better. I would say that has helped me the most.
Yeah, I think avoiding your life is a big part of what happens with gaming because you can just escape. You don't have to think about what's going on. You don't have to worry about it. You're in a flow state. You're playing games. And then what happens though is when you turn the game off and you look around and your life is in the exact same place and you still feel that pain or you feel that frustration, then you just want to go back to games because then you can escape it.
Yeah.
And so it's numbing those emotions, but it's not solving any of the problems. Mm-hmm. And that there's a big distinction I think that people need to understand about gaming. Can be a relaxing activity. Yeah. It can be a way to just decompress and relax. And that's fine if it also leads you afterwards to going and dealing with whatever it is that you need to deal with. But if it's just letting you escape and you're not then turning around to actually make any progress in those areas of your lives that aren't working, then it very easily becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah, and one thing I would say is that real life feels like slow-mo compared to games. And I think it's a little bit difficult transition if you're doing a lot of gaming, like you said, some can do it for relaxing, but if you do a lot of gaming, then when you turn around to real life, it seems like, oh, it takes this many hours of work for me to be able to go on a vacation, or do I have to hold a job and like wake up every day? So everything feels like slow-mo and more grinding sometimes in real life. But I think we just need to change our mindset and say that actually there's value in that slow-mo, and there's value in, let's say, having a job, earning some money, going on vacation. Like, you see, I've been quite disciplined and hardworking the past 3.5, 4 years. So that has allowed me, for example, now to come to Thailand, to experience this beautiful, country and this sea and all these islands and beautiful mountains that we have here. So in a sense, actually working towards something that is real, and you're working towards something that can give you joy on a different level and memories on a different level. So, I'm gonna remember this trip until I'm old, most likely, and I'm gonna be telling it to my kids and whatever. And it has expanded my horizon so much of how different parts of the world are, and how life can be different in some ways, like maybe less stressful. I think there's such a chill vibe, especially here on the island. And I think it's worth it. Yeah, you have to think a bit more long term. Yeah, you have to be disciplined to some extent, but you have to find that thing for you personally that's motivating enough to get yourself out of the gaming chair and just do something that's worth it for you. And for me, like traveling and exploring the world is definitely worth it, but then also finding some pleasure in my work, trying to become better at my work, trying to learn a new system or how a component works or whatever. And of course I don't always do it, but I have this curiosity that I think helps to drive me. Yeah.
And I think one thing that you and I definitely share similarities in our story is that, for me, I realized I need to make a change because I didn't like my life. And it was very clear to me that, like, where I was going to move forward, I didn't know goals. Like, if you asked me at the time, like, what my goals were, I didn't know really, other than I did not want to stay in the same place I was because it was not working for me. I was like anxious, depressed, having panic attacks. I had no friends. I was very lonely, resentful that I didn't have a girlfriend, or like I had no connection in my life. My relationship with my family was very poor, and I knew that could not continue. And so I had to at least stop all of that and stop gaming, which was really the first step for me. And then I know, I often share that when you stop gaming, that's really only the first step. It's like, now what else are you going to do with your time? But for me, initially, it was one goal of like improving my social skills. And then that turned into like, once I had a job, then it was like, well, I want to be my own boss. And then I want to be able to work anywhere in the world. So I want to travel. And then eventually it led to like, I want to live in Thailand and, have kind of the experience that we've got to have the last couple days.
Yeah.
And so my goals, as I've improved and my vision for my life has expanded, I've then been able to identify what those new goals or new targets are going to be. But those are just giving you a sense of direction.
I think that's such a great point. So maybe in the beginning, don't start too big, right? Don't go from like 0 to 1,000. Try to go like 0 to 10. In the sense of try to set a goal that is motivating, but it's also achievable, right? If you guys know about the SMART goals, try to set some SMART goals, some realistic, attainable goals. Because if you go from, I have no money, living with my parents, to I'm moving to Thailand, like that's not gonna happen, and you're gonna feel discouraged because that didn't happen. So instead, just like, okay, I wanna have this much money in savings to begin with, like let's say $500 or $1,000, whatever. So start with some achievable goals, and like you said, then your vision will expand, and then you start to feel this sense of real fulfillment from achieving your goals, and then you'll want to achieve more, right? And it's something that's tangible in real life that gives you a different feeling. Like, of course, it's nice walking in a forest in Witcher 3. It looks nice. But when you walk in a beautiful forest in real life, that's a completely different feeling, right? And the texture and the lighting and everything is just so much more real and stunning. And that's what a gaming-free life can give you, I think.
There was a comment yesterday from someone who shared that since they've stopped gaming, they've realized how much life gaming was robbing from them. And, just to share for everyone. So yesterday, Leo and I went to a spot, my favorite spot here on the island called King's Garden. And it's on the beach, Shawang Beach in Koh Samui, for anyone who's wondering. And we were there, and, at one point it was like, let's go swim in the water. And you didn't have a swimsuit, but you were like, I have shorts, so like I'll just like jump in the water or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
and we were swimming, and it was like crystal clear water, like sunny day, just a beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
And there was a moment where I recognized like okay, the sun's kind of going down. We're gonna go for dinner, so I'll go and like shower and get changed. And you said I'm just gonna stay here for a couple more moments.
Yeah. The sun was setting, right? And I was just, it's too beautiful to go out right now. I was just enjoying, and I don't know, this feeling of blissfulness and this feeling that I don't think you can get in a video game. You get some nice feelings, of course, because that's why we love video games so much. But the real life feeling of like seeing the sunset and being in the water, I don't think you can replicate that.
Exactly, and it's the colors at golden hour with the water and just the sand and all of those sensations. And I think with gaming, you have sensation, but the sensation is just up, like from your head up. It's intellectual, right?
Yeah.
It's in your mind.
It's a simulation at the end of the day of like your brain getting dopamine hits based on what the eyes observe, but you're not engaging your whole body. You're not engaging an actual environment in its fullness.
And being in the water with the sand, with the sun, with the sunset, you're experiencing so much more sensation in your body.
And we're lucky enough to have worked many years to be able to experience this. But for those of you like at home who like live in a small place, I don't know, like this sort of experiences don't just happen in Thailand at King's Garden Beach. No, you can go in a forest nearby, you can go at a lake or a beach nearby, because I live in Denmark. I don't live next to such a beautiful place as Koh Samui, but I still go out and try to experience, do some mountain biking, get some excitement from going up and down those little paths. And even in your back garden or wherever, just down the street, around the corner, you can always find like a beautiful spot. And I think it's worth taking that time for yourself to nurture yourself, nurture your soul, nurture the fact that you have a body that's working, that's functional, and you can do this thing. So why don't you give yourself this gift? Why don't you give yourself the gift of life, the gift of this beautiful planet that we live in? And it's everywhere you can find a beautiful spot.
I know Dom, who helps us a lot with scripts. Shout out to Dom. His YouTube channel is Discipline of Improvement, so definitely go give him a subscription and just check him out. But he's in Estonia, and he always talks to me about how much he loves the nature in Estonia, and he's jumping into the cold plunge pond or lake by his house, and for him it's recognizing like the nature around him, and even where I'm from in Canada. So I grew up in Calgary, which is near Banff National Park, and growing up there, it felt just normal to me to be surrounded by mountains like that. But after traveling around the world, I've traveled to over 30 countries. Now I have such a deep appreciation for what I had growing up, because that's unique in the world. It's a very unique area.
Yeah.
And we were talking yesterday about I live on Koh Samui, and it's an island, and there's a lot of benefits to that, and there are also some downsides. But a huge part of what I've tried to focus on while living here is finding what's special about this area that maybe is unique here that isn't available elsewhere. And when I lived in San Diego, it was surfing at sunset with dolphins and then going for fish tacos. It was like my favorite thing. Living here, I don't have that same opportunity. But snorkeling or floating in crystal clear water or the go-kart racing opportunities that are here, riding on a scooter through some mountains on just a small little road trip. There are such unique things about every place that you live. Mm-hmm. If you open yourself up to embracing those and looking for them and connecting to them. And if you start to treat where you live, wherever you live right now, if you look for what makes this place special, if someone moved here because they want to be around there, what would that be?
Yeah.
And you start to connect to those things, you open yourself up a little bit, it'll transform your entire life and where you live. Mm-hmm. And so really look for what makes a place special wherever you are and embrace that.
Absolutely. And I think this links very, very beautifully into this concept of being grateful and having gratitude in your life. And I think that many times as a gamer, well, first of all, we don't do this so much, but it's a change in mindset where you try to think, okay, I don't have much, but whatever I have to appreciate that. So it might be that you've been gaming for the last, 5-10 years, or you're just young and you haven't had time to achieve much. That's completely normal. But then you have your body. So I'm thankful for my body. I'm thankful for my healthy, body or mind. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for the place where I live. I'm thankful for, there's so many things to be thankful for, small and big. And I think those are stepping stones then to achieve your goals and whatever you set out for yourself. Because if you come out of gaming and you feel like you have nothing, it can be quite discouraging when you come from this mindset of lacking, that I'm missing this and I'm missing that and I cannot do this or that because of this and that. And some of those are true, but that's not where you want to have your focus. You want to have your focus on what I have, what friends I have, and how can I work together with them, maybe, start a business with them or whatever. So I think it's this big change in mindset.
The gratitude is really important. And for people watching who maybe are at the start of their journey, the clarity of no longer wanting to be in the pain that you're in your life and wanting to make a change in order to start to improve by, for instance, stopping gaming as an initial step. There's so much clarity available for you in that. You don't need to know all the goals that you have, or those can expand over time. But recognizing that where you're at currently is not where you want to continue to be is powerful. Beyond that, the mindset that you can start to cultivate is to be a creator instead of a consumer. When you're gaming, you're consuming entertainment. You're consuming social media. You're consuming YouTube. You're just consuming. You're a passive object in your life, and the world is meant to entertain you. This is how you're functioning. Even if you're starting at the very beginning, if you have a mindset of being a creator, not a content creator, but a creator of your life, creating the life that you want and the experience you want to have in life, not only will that lead you to, for instance, starting a business or just entering an industry that you're really passionate about and saving money and being able to travel through that means, but also creating the type of, I guess, in some ways, spiritual experience of life that you want to have, which starts with the gratitude and starts with the appreciation and embracing what you have available in your environment, wherever that is. Mm-hmm. And I think that mindset of being a creator instead of a consumer, creating the life that you want, is so powerful, and it will create so much magic in your life. But it comes from embracing your ability to impact your life and to actually be able to lead your life in a different direction than the one that you're currently in.
Yeah, and I want to take this 2 steps back and talk about back in 2018, 2019, when I was like struggling with my gaming addiction. But one thing that was quite important, it's a bit difficult to talk about, I was actually quite depressed at the time as well, because the business failed, because my relationship at the time was quite difficult with my girlfriend, and so forth. So it was a very tough period. And I actually think that sometimes gaming helped me, let's say, from doing something stupid, right? Like hurting myself or whatever. So if you're at that point, if you're that low and like you think it's either I do something really bad or I game for 2-3 hours, then I say you game to keep yourself afloat. But then as soon as you get the possibility, realize that gaming is not a way to build your life, is not a good focus to have in your life, because it takes so much away from your life. It simply does. It takes so much focus. It's like it's sucking it also when you're not gaming. And then I think that after stopping gaming, after getting help from the community, that I was able to better help heal my depression, because I was now taking the time to go out in nature, which there's some research that indicates that is beneficial and can help alleviate some of the symptoms. And just taking time for myself to heal, taking time to go to the gym to increase my dopamine, right? So you can go from a really negative point in your life, and I was really so low that I didn't want to be anymore. That's how bad it was. And now I'm so thankful that I didn't do anything stupid, and that I got the help that I needed, and that I took care of myself. So if anyone out there is struggling with depression, that's really serious, and take care of yourself and ask for support. Open up to people. People care about you. People want the best for you, like your friends, your family are there for you both when it's good and when it's bad. And just don't do anything stupid that you will regret. Get help, and that helped me a lot to have some experts as well, some professionals that actually know what they're talking. Friends and family are great, especially if you have good friends and family that can listen to you and not be so judgmental. And sometimes you have to tell them, just listen to me now. Don't be judgmental. I just need somebody to talk to. But then going that extra step and asking help from a professional, with whatever problem you have. If it's depression, right, you go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, how severe you think it is. But if it's gaming addiction, then you go to somebody that has expertise in gaming addiction, because that's a specific problem. Like, for example, you have spent many, many years understanding, documenting, writing, hundreds of articles on. So get help.
And so many people in the community connect to that. Feeling depressed, feeling down, not knowing how they're going to possibly improve their lives. Not just you were there, I was there. I was deeply depressed when I decided to make a change. And I know so many people right now either have joined the community at that point in their life or are currently at that point in their life. And I just want everyone to know there's so much hope, because like hundreds and thousands of us have been at that point where we felt like it was never going to get better, and it will get better, and it will take action, it will take effort, it will take support, and there is support available. So never give up. Real life is worth fighting for, and we're here to help.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's it for today's interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to Leo. Really enjoyed having you here in Thailand, and hope to see you soon. We also answered a couple additional questions from the Discord server on the podcast. So check the link in the description for the episode on the podcast. We talked about, should you limit gaming mindfully or go all in and quit altogether? And we also talked about gamer identity. So check out the podcast along with a ton of other episodes that will help you live your best life. So I'll see you next week for another video, and I hope you enjoy your day. Peace.